Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. I'm not sure where everybody's at right now, but it's morning for me. I'm going live with Dr. Mom on my Moving Forward series. I've decided to do a video every week, at least Monday through Friday. And it has to do with my Moving Forward challenge that I'm putting together right now, and I'm going to do in April. So I've been working on it, but I just thought for me to get good at it, I have to do it every day. And it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard thinking every day, there's a lot that I've done in my personal and professional life, but talking about it and teaching about it is different things. So I'm in the middle of writing the curriculum for it, and I've got lots to do. But today I thought, and this was always, I did in my 100 video challenge, I did a session on spirituality, and I find it fascinating because I'm always working on it. And what it may mean to me might not be the same thing it means to everybody else. So I thought it'd be kind of a good idea to talk about it. So when I talk about my foundations for my Moving Forward series, I base it on 3 principles: building a strong foundation, constant goal setting, and always working on self or professional development, personal development, self-development. And then there's tiers to those that I specifically talk about. And the first one is spirituality. The second one is family. And the third is working on self. So trying to reach a level of self-actualization. And it's just always these principles we kind of came up with in my challenge that I did, and it went rather nicely. It was really a good awakening, I guess you could say. So today I'm working on the spirituality element of the foundation principle. So why is that important? I talked about it yesterday. I feel like foundation work is very, very important because it grounds you. So if I've learned anything in my years here on Earth, is that things come and go in our life. For me, the first part of my life was pretty uneventful, although I did struggle a lot, which I talked about as a teen yesterday, how I had a lot of struggles. But I think that's might be normal as in our teenage years. I mean, I think it's a period in your life that so many things are happening, right? Your hormones are developing, your body's developing, your relationships are developing. And if for some reason you miss a piece of that foundation building at a young age, and when I say that, there's different levels. So my analogy of a strong foundation is one, first of all, I always go back to the book of Hebrews in the New Testament when I believe it's Matthew, if I'm not mistaken, talks about building your house on rock and not sand, which makes sense to me. If you put it in sand, we all know what happens at the beach, right? You write your name in the sand, the waves come in, boom, it's gone. If you wrote your name in rocks, it would still be there as long as it doesn't go too deep into the current. So that makes sense. When the weather comes, it won't blow your house down, right? And the other, I have 2 more that I like to think about. One is I looked into skyscrapers and how really important it is when architects are designing a skyscraper, and how important the foundations are in it. so they build, when they do build them, the big buildings are built of really strong metal. And then also, they put reinforcement in any of the concrete, which is called rebar, which is really solid structure. And then also, I guess they have studied over time, there's some kind of moth, I believe, that builds, when it builds its nest, it leaves holes in it so the wind will blow through it instead of taking it out. So they put a lot of money into building skyscrapers, a lot of money. And then quonsets are rounded, right? So the wind blows around them instead of knocking them over. So there's different structures. The third one I like to think about is a tree, how deep the roots of a tree grow. One of the biggest reasons I know that is because I just took out a 50-foot tree out of my front yard. And I wouldn't have, I love trees, don't get me wrong, but it was destroying my foundation. It was destroying it, destroyed my sidewalk. So it's not even safe anymore. It's just kind of took it out of the ground. My driveway is in shambles, and then I don't think it's entered the foundation that I've seen yet. So, which is a basement, because I live in an area where there could be tornadoes. So I always look in this area for a strong foundation. So that's my analogy. I kind of studied up on trees too, and the roots of the tree always keep growing out, and then the tree itself, the tops of it is nourished from sort of within, right? And so are we. So that's the thing, is a tree wouldn't grow if it didn't have all its nourishments, and the roots definitely wouldn't get strong. So we're the same way. We need to have some kind of nourishment to really get our roots grounded, so that if something does come along in our life, then we're prepared for it. You never know. It could, I mean, I don't know how many people, having COVID come up interfered with your life. I was good. I was good through it. It's irritating to me. I don't, it's unknown. We all don't know about it. It's another virus that's taking, I hate to say, but I don't know exactly. I think it's a virus. But, we have good friends that have been very affected by it. So it was a big thing, and it's still going on. It could be, you could go through financial stress. You could go through the loss of a loved one. You could go through a lot. And if you're not prepared for it, then it can really wipe you off your feet, and you don't want that to happen. So I feel like a strong foundation is a very important thing. And moving forward. So moving forward to me is always putting one step in the other in front of each other, and always working on our self-development and our foundation work and spirituality. And because someday, what is it? One thing's certain, death and taxes. We know we're going to pass on to wherever you think. So spirituality to me is a very important piece. And I think you could research on it for hours and days and months. And I don't know, I think you could keep evolving in your spirit and keep it growing and things forever, for as long as you're on this earth. And so I think it's a very important piece. So I thought I would go ahead and do that today. And so I kind of did, I love quotes. So I'm going to start it out with the quote that I found, which I really like. And this kind of goes with what I talked about yesterday, because yesterday I was talking about how I read a quote yesterday, and it talked about walking away from people that hurt you, stand alone, grow yourself, so that one day or every day you're around people who really love you and want the best for you. Now it said deserve you, but I feel like I don't know. I guess that's true to a point. But I don't know. I don't really like saying it that way. But so today it says you can hurt someone physically. Very true. You can torture someone emotionally. Yes. If they let you, right? And so that's why it's so important for us to build our foundation. But you cannot destroy a spiritually strong person. I like that. Let's see if I have. Oh, I can't read who the author is. Sorry. We'll just say anonymous today. But I think that's a good point. So you can hurt someone physically. Yes, we know that. Hopefully you don't need to do that. I think the more you build your spirituality, the less likely you need to do that. You can torture someone emotionally, which is horrible. I think sometimes emotional abuse is worse than physical. You can destroy people, which is horrible, especially innocence. But you cannot destroy a spiritually strong person. That's so good. So that's the quote today, and I really thought it went well with what is spirituality? What is it? I mean, do we think about it? I think in most of us, there's this place where, and I believe it's your soul, that craves some kind of spirituality work. So I thought looking the definition up, I always like that. It puts it right, this is the facts, ma'am. This is what the dictionary version is. The quality of being concerned with the human spirit or soul as opposed to material or physical things, which we need to always work on those as well. But I thought that was really good. I mean, it's straight to the point, right? So the quality of being concerned. So searching for spirituality with the human spirit or soul as opposed to material or physical things. So it's more what you cannot see, right? Instead of the physical and material things that we can see. So, meeting someone new or looking at someone, you never know spiritually who they are, but you can see physically, right? Sort of don't judge a book by its cover, because you never know what's on the inside, do you? You might think you know. I find this something a little bit. I just thought of something when I said that. So I've been going to the gym for probably my whole life, but seriously, probably over the last 5 years or so. And it's funny how I see other people in the gym, and I always try to figure out what their occupation is. I'm not real sure why I do that, but I have been wrong about 90% of the time. See how? So don't judge people. You never know, what kind of person they are, what they do. I've always found that fascinating when I do find out what their occupation is, and I'm like, oh, geez, I wouldn't have thought of that. So strange. Okay, so what is spirituality? I downloaded this little article because I'm not a professional on it. I mean, I could tell you what I think spirituality is, which I guess I will. I think it's growing yourself, your soul, to be stronger, to learn to understand where we came from and where we're going. Because to me, this life is sort of a temporary stay, and the older you get, the faster it goes. And I remember my dad always saying, we lost my dad a couple of years ago, which was also very difficult. I went through a whole difficult years of grief and losing people close to me. Um, but and that makes you really search for your spirituality, because it it places immortality in your face, right? You're like, oh goodness, where do we go? And so I remember my dad telling me, and he never, that I knew of, I think he became a Christian towards the end, but that I knew of, he never really um, had some kind of faith. Although that's another one, don't judge people, because you never know. You never know what they believe. You never know. They may not talk about it. They may have pain with it. Maybe it was shoved down their throat, some kind of religion. Um, you never know where they're coming from. But I remember my dad always saying, when he was getting into his 80s, how scary it was. Like, I think he described it as holding on with knuckles, where your knuckles are white. That's what he described it as. And part of me during that time felt bad. I felt bad. And I just hope that when I get closer to that place, my spirituality is fully developed and I'm not afraid like that. I don't want to be afraid. I want to embrace it. I want to say, good job the way you've lived your life and helped other people live their life. I don't want to be afraid of that. I want to go into it saying, oh, I can't wait. It reminds me of my father-in-law, who's a pastor, and I've never seen a man so completely confident on where he's going. Happy all the time, never afraid of meeting the Father, completely confident. So cool. That's someone who's developed their spirituality in depth, you know? So that's kind of my thoughts on it. I've got a long ways to go. I think the more I study, the better off I am too. The more I study, the Bible, in my opinion, and I do not want to tell anyone that theirs is not right. And there is, what I like about this article, it does go over different ways, different forms of spirituality. And we do not have the right to say one person's is different than the others, or that mine is better than yours. Mine is just mine. It's mine and what I found to believe in, what I needed to believe in. Doesn't mean that it's right for everyone. And everybody's journey is certainly different. So this is what this author talks about, is spirituality's broad concept of a belief in something beyond yourself. It may involve religious traditions centering on the belief in a higher power, which mine is God. But I used to go to AA with my husband a lot, and their higher power could be anything. I believe they even could be themselves, but a higher power is different than being yourself, so that it helps you believe in something bigger than you, so that you get out of your own way, I believe. So it can, but it also involves a holistic belief in an individual connection to others and to the world as a whole. So spirituality offers a worldview that suggests there is more to life than just what people experience on a sensory and physical level. I kind of feel like we all have this innate ability to feel like there is something beyond ourselves, or at least to question it, because everyone's going to experience some kind of, especially now where they may have lost people to COVID even, depends on your age, but I mean, I never lost anybody super close to me at a young age. And so I didn't really experience the kind of questioning that I did when my husband passed away, and then my father, and then my hound dog, that were all super close to me. So you really question things, spiritual things, when you go through the really hard things in life. So instead of So there is something greater that connects all beings to each other and to the universe itself. It also proposes that there is ongoing existence after death and strives to answer questions about the meaning of life, how people are connected to each other, truths about the universe, and other mysteries of human existence. And I do like, so you often hear couples say, oh, that you're my soulmate. I think that's very true. I always felt, my husband and I always said that about each other, and we felt very close and very connected. We had, our souls were very connected and still are, and I do know that I will see him again. Um, and I feel that about other human beings. Like, do you ever just meet someone and instantly your soul, you just know? Like, I don't know, for some reason, there's just this really cool connection with them and it bonds you in ways. So I believe that that is very true. So spirituality and religious activity have been a source of comfort and relief from stress for multitudes of people. While people use many different religions in the past to find God or to express their spirituality, research has shown that those who are more religious or spiritual and use their spirituality to cope with challenges in life experience many benefits in their health and well-being. And I think that's so true. So the more that I develop my spirituality and my faith, sorry, gosh, I always forget to turn that off. Let's see. Sorry. Oh gosh, there's a lot to learn. Okay. Research has shown that those who are more religious or spiritual use their spirituality to cope with challenges in life. That's right. Okay. So yes, I feel that is very true. Like, I have never been more at peace in my life and at peace with who I am as an individual person, and not afraid. All my anxiety's gone. I mean, I work on it all the time, but and when I come close to certain things, like my mom got sick a few years ago, and oh my goodness, that was really hard. Then it kind of brings it up again, and then I have to go through strengthening my spirituality again. But okay, this is Signs of Spirituality. It's not a single path or belief. And there's many ways to experience spirituality and the benefits of it, right? For some people, this might involve belief in a higher power or specific religious practice. And there's many. There is many. I mean, I think the more studying, the more I've been watching videos on YouTube and just different connections that I'm making. I'm just amazed at the different things that I could have possibly not searched out, because I thought, spirituality is the only thing, or Christianity is the only thing you can do. That's not true. There's many ways of connecting your soul with something higher than yourself. Okay, for many others, it may involve connecting a sense of connection to a higher state or sense of interconnectedness with the rest of humanity and nature. So these are some of the signs of spirituality. Asking deep questions about topics such as suffering and what happens after death. For me, I didn't have a choice, because it really was at the center of, at a point in my life from teenage years on, which I talked about already. I didn't have a choice, because it was right there. Like I always, and I would assume that other people search it out, but I don't know. Deepening connections with other people, experiencing compassion and empathy for others. Yes. Especially after, the last 6 years, I'll never be the same again. Never again. Especially when I know someone has lost someone very close to them. I'm so empathetic. Like, my heart just bursts for them because I know that feeling, and it's so, so difficult. Um, Experiencing feelings of interconnectedness, feelings of awe and wonder. Yep. Seeking happiness beyond material possessions or other external rewards. Seeking meaning and purpose, and wanting to make the world a better place. Yep, that's why I'm here. So yes, 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 check, check, check. Not everyone experiences or expresses spirituality in the same way. Some people may seek spiritual experiences in every aspect of their lives, while others may be more likely to have these feelings under specific conditions or certain locations. For example, some people may be more likely to have spiritual experiences in churches or other religious temples, while some might have these feelings when they're out enjoying nature, which I I think that's really cool. I was just reading another quote as well, and it was talking about how you have to silence the mind so that you can awaken the soul. I think that's a good I like that. I liked it. So let's see. So this is types of spirituality, which I like because nobody has the right, except your higher power, to decide what is spiritual for anyone else. So never judge someone, right? So these types, major forms are Buddhism, and I know a gentleman that practices that, Christianity, Hinduism, humanism, Islam, Judaism, New Age spirituality, and Sikhism. So it's important to remember that there are many other spiritual traditions that exist throughout the world, including traditional African indigenous spiritual practices. I would love to learn more about the indigenous spiritual practices. Such practices can be particularly important to groups of people who have been subjected to the effects of colonialism, right? And I automatically think of like in Africa or just in any population, even in Germany when the Jews were eliminated basically, or tried to be. I mean, that's when other people don't agree with your beliefs. So what are the uses? What are the uses? Why do people, what are the reasons that people turn to spirituality? So for me, it was to find purpose and meaning, to question death, to understand life and my existence, and to broaden my spirituality. So to cope with feelings of stress, depression, and anxiety. Wow, that was 101, me 101. I had terrible depression and anxiety, and probably stress related as well, because I didn't understand life or death or the meaning of life, or I didn't have any true foundation. I didn't have anything to sink my roots into, so that I was just sort of tossed. I just short those voices that are in your mind, whether it's the I, the ego, or the superego, that say all these negative things, because we all have them. I couldn't fight it off. So for years I fell into it. And like, like we said here, you can torture someone emotionally. I was torturing myself emotionally. And not physically, but emotionally, I tortured myself. It was horrible. Horrible, horrible. So to restore hope and optimism. Okay, what's the opposite of the feelings of stress, depression, and anxiety? Hope and optimism, right? So spirituality, seeking it, finding it, can help you counterbalance those other things and build that foundation you need for later on. to find a sense of community and support. That's also true. So if you can find, and for me, it was Christianity, and I knew that it was real for me right after I was saved, when I was about 25, and I read the Bible from Genesis to Revelations, and I became saved in it when I read John 3:16. And I knew instantly my soul understood somehow my in-laws. Like I understood something. Like we understood each other and our beliefs. And so it made it very real to me. And the same with my church here. After my husband passed away, I started volunteering so that I could get close to my Christian community, because I needed that. I was very alone. I was very lonely. I was incredibly lonely. I was scared and had anxiety and stress, and it helped me immensely. So being part of a group and also grief support helped me to know that other people were experiencing similar things. So while specific spiritual views are a matter of faith, research has demonstrated some of the benefits of spirituality and spiritual activity. The results may surprise no one who has found comfort in their religious or spiritual views, but they are definitely noteworthy in that they demonstrate in a scientific way that these activities do have benefits for many people. So there are a few more of the many positive related to spirituality and its influence on physical and mental health, that's good. I mean, I think that's super important. So research has shown that religion and spirituality can help people cope with the effects of everyday stress. One study found that everyday spiritual experiences helped older adults better cope with negative feelings and enhance positive feelings. So that's what I was talking about when my dad had expressed to me later on in his 80s how I think he was telling me how a lot of anxiety and fear. So because I think he had this innate feeling inside that he was getting closer to death, which we all will at one day, and he hadn't built, that I know of, that strong foundation. So he understood his spirituality, I don't think, had been developed to a certain level. So he had a lot of anxiety, and honestly wasn't really even talking much towards the end. I think he had a lot. It just makes me so sad. Research shows that older women are more grateful to God than older men, and they receive greater stress buffered health effects due to the gratitude. So yeah, I mean, like I said, my father-in-law is so freaking positive. Never seen a more positive person. His faith is just through the roof. Great. According to research, those with an intrinsic religious orientation, regardless of gender, exhibited less psychological reactivity towards stress than those with extrinsic religious orientation. Those who were intrinsically oriented dedicated their lives to God or a higher power, which the extrinsically oriented ones use religion for external ends like making friends or increasing community. So, okay, that was a lot to say in one sentence. Okay, so this, along with other research, demonstrates that there may be tangible and lasting benefits to maintaining involvement with a spiritual community. This involvement, along with the gratitude that can accompany spirituality, can be a buffer against stress and is linked to greater levels of physical health. So, just reading through that, I was just thinking about how right now during my life and the avenues that I'm taking, I am very linked with a lot of these YouTube videos I'm following with entrepreneurs and motivational speakers and people who are evolving in their life and seeking spirituality. And I mean, there's so many things they do. So fasting You can do spiritual fasting. I think, cold water bathing too. I think it's really trying to get closer to your spirituality. There's so many things, meditation, lots and lots of different meditations, but a lot of the people I'm following, I feel spiritually connected to them because, man, I just get it. Like I really get what they're saying, and I feel part of that community. So people who feel comfortable and comforted using spirituality as a coping mechanism for stress can rest assured that there's even more evidence that this is a good idea for them. Prayer works for young and old alike. Prayer and spirituality have been linked to better health. I believe it. I'm in great health and shape, and I wouldn't have that without my foundation work or my spirituality building, because there was a time that I wasn't, because I was so stressed out and anxious and depressed that I wasn't healthy. I wasn't a healthy adult. Didn't have this foundation that to depend on to get me through day by day. I can't imagine if I didn't have my faith, what it would have been like when my husband passed away, because I probably would have got into partying heavily and just hooked up with anyone, because that gave me comfort in the past. Thank the Lord I had my foundation and my strength. So greater psychological well-being, less depression, less hypertension, less stress, even during difficult times, more positive feelings, and superior ability to handle stress. And I believe that. I wouldn't have been able to make my mind up to leave the university and go the direction I am without my foundation, without my spirituality, without the strength. And a lot of it came doing my 100 videos and just interacting with the people on Facebook. It was tremendous. So whether you're rediscovering a forgotten spiritual path, reinforcing your commitment to already well-established one, or seeking a new source of spiritual fulfillment, exploring your spiritual side may help improve your well-being. And for me, it is learning to teach about it, because I understand my spirituality, but I want to be able to share it with others. And that's why I'm trying to get stronger and stronger in my faith every day, so that I'm able to share it with others. So spirituality is a very personal experience, and everyone's spiritual path may be unique, and probably is, honestly. Research shows, however, that some spiritual stress relief strategies have been helpful to many regardless of faith. Some things you can do to start exploring spirituality include: pay attention to how you are feeling. Part of embracing spirituality means also embracing what it means to be human, both the good and the bad. That's kind of scary, isn't it? I think sometimes we just stay busy with life, and we're not able to dig deep into what it means to be a human, good and the bad. What does that mean? I think sometimes we go along and just, go through life and stay busy and don't think about that oftentimes. So sometimes you do have to go through something really hard to have your spirituality awoken, and to say, oh my goodness, I need to start getting close to my higher power. Focus on others, opening your heart, feeling empathy, and helping others are important aspects of spirituality. And I believe that. I do know that the more I study and the more I grow closer to my higher power, to mine is God, the more I read scripture, the more I study. And now it's, working with others and talking with others about it. The more I empathize with others, and I'm hoping I can help others. So yeah, that's very true. Um, I often say, I look back at sort of the person I was before I lost my husband and my big need for spirituality emerged. And I had been getting into it, later on anyway, but and a lot of it was because my husband was struggling so much. He struggled so very much with just being on this earth and being happy with it. He just struggled. And I'm so incredibly glad that I'll find out one day. One day when I meet him again, I'll fully understand, Meditate. Try spending 10 to 15 minutes each morning engaged in some form of meditation. I that's one area I have to get into because I think it's super important. And there's some actual I think tapes that you can get or recordings that help you get into that. And I have to get into that. Practice gratitude. Start a gratitude journal and record what you are grateful for each day. This can be a great reminder of what is most important to you and what brings the greatest happiness. And I do that with my morning prayers. I'm not really somebody who says I need this and that and the other thing. I'm more somebody that says, "Oh Lord, thank you. Thank you for my health. Thank you for, the people you bring in my life. Thank you for the new jobs. Thank you for my children and bless them." And, I always ask for their protection and with the blood of Christ so that they're protected. I can't be with them right now, but I can ask for protection and their blessings and that they grow closer to God. Try mindfulness. So by becoming more mindful, you can become more aware and appreciative of the present. Mindfulness encourages you to be less judgmental, both of yourself and others. Focus more on the present moment rather than dwelling on the past. That's hard. That's always been hard for me. I'm always ahead of myself. Always. Like always. And now I wish I could go back and enjoy life more instead of always trying to get ahead, go beyond, get ahead. I'm still doing it. I'm not going to lie. I need to just get into it. I think the older you get, the more you want to just stay in the moment so the days don't pass so fast. That's it. That's very good to look at it that way. So what are the potential pitfalls? One potential pitfall of spirituality is a phenomenon known as spiritual bypassing. This involves a tendency to use spirituality as a way to avoid or sidestep problems, emotions, or conflicts. That's interesting, isn't it? By saying I'm spiritual, I don't face them or they'll be fine. For example, rather than apologizing for some type of emotional wound you have caused someone else, you might bypass the problem by simply excusing it and saying that everything happens for a reason, or suggesting that the other person just needs to focus on the positive. Yeah, I understand that. Okay, so boy, I hate it when I make mistakes like that. And I'm so grateful the Holy Spirit tells me I did. Excuse me. It's horrible. Like an example is even like on my podcast, and I think I'm so spiritual and so humble at this point in my life. But I said something that I shouldn't have said. And then I'm like, God, what if that person hears it? How awful. Why would I do that? Why would my mouth sometimes, I'm just like, I have to listen more and speak less, which I'm doing more of. Spirituality can enrich your life and lead to a number of benefits, but it is important to be cautious to not let spiritual ideals lead to pitfalls such as dogmatism or a reason to ignore the needs of others. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's so very true. Because I think the more spiritual, well, I don't know. I think sometimes that might be religious some kind of religious belief, or the feeling of, well, I go to church every Sunday and I tithe, so I'm better than you are. You go to the bar and you hang out with people that you shouldn't hang out with. But you know what? So did Christ. Who did he hang out with? He hung out with the sinners. That's who he liked, because I think because he felt their humility, right? There's so many times in the Bible where he's, the Pharisees were there, and they're like, they think that they're super religious or super spiritual, but yet, I think it was the story of when a lady had been caught in adultery. Well, it wasn't just the lady; it was a lady and a man, right? And but they wanted to stone the woman to death, right? Okay, what about the man? But they didn't look at that. It was just all about this lady, and they wanted to stone her to death. And the sad thing about it is that probably a lot of the men in the crowd that were doing this had been with her or wanted to be. And so Christ was so good about saying, any of you who are judging right now and want to throw rocks at her and kill her, step forward who's committed no sin, right? Well, they all kind of left. I love that story. I love that story, and how, Jesus just forgave her and said, go on your way. It'd be fun to do a study up on her and see, exactly what her life was after that, because many times during the Bible, when Jesus has affected someone, healed them, or, affected their life just by touching him, their lives are never the same again. And I think that's spirituality. For whatever reason that you turn to it and you start searching it, our lives will never. There might have been a reason. I just feel like we're built that way. We just have this need inside of us to understand life and death, and sickness, and maybe especially now, but at least sometime in your life. And mine was from a very early age, I think, because I'd had so many experiences when I was pretty young where I had either gotten really sick, or, I didn't feel like I was near death at that point in my life. But looking back, it was some pretty bad things. And it kind of set in motion in me this need to understand a higher power or a spirituality, or to build my foundation, because I didn't really have one at that time in my life. And I'm so thankful that I do now. And if I can do anything to help someone else, that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm going to remain here. That's why, because I have been brought to this place, and it's some kind of higher calling for me. So I'm going to keep talking about it. So that's my take on it. I would love to hear from you. Anybody that has comments, I would love to hear it. If you want me to research something, and of course, to support me, subscribe and like and ring the bell so that you know when I'm doing a new video. I promise they're just going to get better and better. The more I talk, the more research I do, the more it gets in my mind, and it's just the way it is. The more you keep doing something, the better you get at it. And I'm here, so I'm going to keep getting better at it. So I believe that's all I have today. I did do it again. I said I'm going to do it all week, and I am doing it all week. And so 2 more days. I'm hoping tomorrow night to do one on. I just bought a really cool Bible study on 52 individuals and groups of women in the Bible. And I want to do a thing on Facebook with my group that's on there. And the first one is Eve, and it's pretty incredible. I mean, if you think about it, that's all incredible, and that's the beginning. I need to study a little bit about Genesis, and get some more history behind it. But so, oh goodness, I think that's all for me today. I do need to get and read my devotions book. I read every day, and it's been so good for me. Oh my goodness. And I like to read, I decided to read the Bible again, top to bottom, and I have a different translation. So it takes a little bit more to get through, but I'm still in the Old Testament. And it's good. I mean, honestly, even if you don't believe in Christianity, it's a great book. It's a great book for history and life lessons, and I've never read anything that's been negative. So pick it up, read it. Doesn't have to be for spirituality, but it's a good thing. Good thing. So I think I better get going. I've got a busy day again. I've been working on wiring my kitchen remodel. I've been wiring the walls, which I have cuts all over my hands. And I have a friend at the gym that's an electrician, and I said, man, I have a new respect for you guys, because it's physically takes physical strength to pull cables through walls, to push them back in the receptacle, to put the receptacle on. I mean, it's physical manual labor. It's hard. Like, my muscles were sore from wiring things in the wall, and I'm almost done though. Today I have to get some of that spray insulation, because one thing I didn't check when I bought my house is they don't have any insulation in the walls. So I'm where I've opened the walls, which unfortunately is a few spots, because if you don't know how the wires run, you got to kind of open them up carefully to see how the wires are ran. So I have holes in my walls in the kitchen. So I'm going to get some spray insulation and just spray sort of, a bit. You got to be careful, because that stuff can get really big. I thought about using the stuffing kind that you stuff in, but I don't want to get all yucky. So and itchy and all that. So I'm just going to use the spray in the openings that I can get to. And I'm surprised that my utilities are so good here, but they are. But it does not, now that I have some walls open, and then so I'm going to spray a little bit of that on, and then I've got to do some sheetrocking again. And taping. And then when I get to that level, I can start leveling my cabinets out. I'm getting closer. It's looking good. So I'll update that on the weekend. I think Friday I'll probably do an update on my bodybuilding, which I've got to call my trainer today too, which I better do right now. So I want to go ahead and sign off for today, and hope everybody has a tremendous day and week, and that you start building a foundation if you haven't already. I hope that I can help with how important it is. So that's it for me. I'm going to sign off. Much love to all of you. Make sure you love your family, love your friends and family.